Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Tawnya Love Show, and I'm so glad that all of you could connect with us today live. If you want, take a second and go in, if you're able to, on your computer and go ahead and log in, put your name or nickname on there. And I'm going to ask all of you that are watching today, if you can, if you would like to receive information about any of the things that I'm doing as far as workshops or energy healing sessions, upcoming classes that I have, and webinars, just put your email in there, make sure it's spelled correctly, and type your email into the live chat. And then I'll go and check those after the show. And I promise I will not send you a lot of emails. Like, I know a lot of people are very hesitant to give email. I don't like getting tons of email myself. And so I promise it'll just be an occasional email that you'll get when I'm having something special. And one of the things that the reason I'm going to say this is that I have a goddess retreat. It's called Embodying the Goddess Transformational Retreat that I have just booked the beautiful condo at Cannon Beach. And I've already got several women signed up. I only have 3 spots left. And so if any of you just feel like you would love to come hang out with me for a full weekend, it's going to be September 16th through the 18th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you're interested in that or any of the workshops, just put your email in the live chat, and then I will make sure I send you some information. So just wanted to say that first thing. I wanted to thank a couple people because I have a lot of, it's so amazing. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, Amnon, with like your Nissan Productions page, but I used to get like maybe, 5 to 10 friend requests in a day. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd just go through. And nowadays it's like hundreds a day. And I don't know if this is just kind of like the universe is expanding. And so is my Facebook friend request, but it's been really interesting. But there's a few people, this one guy on Facebook, his name's Rich. I hope I'm saying his last name right, but I think it's Rich Helixson. And he has been such a sweet angel, like very supportive. And he has gone and shared my show, and he's promoted the show on his different pages. And he has a few different, I think one of them's like Star Seeds and Galactic Federation or something. I can't remember the exact names, but if you're interested in being a part of these groups, just also write that in the chat and say, Tawnya, I'd like to join these groups. I have one called Miracles, Magic, and Manifestation. I really would love the people who joined it to give more feedback, though, because I feel like what's going to keep it fun is when we share what we're noticing, what we're seeing. And I've been sharing a lot, and I'm like, come on, guys. So feel free to join that if you'd like. We're really focused on miracles and totally not looking at limitation. We're here to totally break through barriers and really see that anything is possible. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, let me know. But Rich, thank you so much because you have totally promoted my show so many times and promoted Nissan Productions, and I am so grateful for that. And then another guy, his name is, what's his name? Don Long. And he has been completely sweet and also promoted the show and promoted me personally as far as a healer. So I just want to thank you guys. And yesterday, one of my clients that I'm not going to say her name because I'm going to give her freedom if she wants to call in today and share, but it was really interesting. I had posted because her grandmother, she had let me know that her grandma wasn't doing well. And I just could feel in the text, because I'm very intuitive, I could feel like she was kind of stressed out about it. So I, from my heart, said, you know what, I would love to help her if she's open and she gives me permission. I would love to do an auric clearing for her remotely, and I can help tune in and see what's going on. And so my client was like, yes, I would love that. And so she let her know, and her grandma said, yeah, she was open. And every day, I cannot say how much that doing remote sessions in particular, like I love all of them, the in-person ones and the remote, but the remote sessions, like no matter how many times I do an auric clearing, I don't think it's ever going to get boring because my mind gets blown every time. And so it's kind of like this part of my soul knows like, this is no big deal. We just do this. But to my mind, my brain is just like, how the heck do we know all this? And so it's pretty amazing. But what happened is her grandmother is in the hospital and she was really not doing well. So I tuned in remotely, and energetically, it's like I can see in my clients' bodies. And so it's really, my vision and my sight has really amplified lately. And I think it's just from practicing and flexing the muscle. But when I was reading through her body, and I could feel things in my body, and I felt all this inflammation in her in her stomach area. And I in particularly got the hit that she has an ulcer and that she has chronic past with ulcers, like she's had them many times. And then deeper than that, at the cellular level, I was getting that she is in deep fear. And I asked my client in a text, I'm like, what is she afraid of? There's something really triggering her. Like she is really in fear. It could be conscious or unconscious. And I shared that I'm sensing an ulcer and that it's completely inflamed. Like the lining in her stomach is just completely weakened. And then as I went up right below the sternum, I felt like burning in my body. And I felt like almost that whole tube that goes from the throat down to the belly was just inflamed and raw, like almost like as if you could imagine pouring bleach. If someone poured bleach down a human throat, what it would do, that is what it felt like. And it was like so toxic. And these toxins were really terrorizing this person's body and really stripping, nutrients and actually causing this raw, like fire energy in the body. So I was describing all that to her. And then when I got to the throat, I said, the throat is incredibly raw and like her throat must be really sore. I'm getting a sore throat and it feels really just gross, like just like this really yucky feeling that I got. And so I'm telling her all these messages. And then I was like, what my angels and guides are saying, and her angels and guides are letting me know that there's some kind of medicine that she just started taking and it's really not good for her. It's very toxic. And I was like, has she just recently started a new medication, or, is she been taking medicine? So anyway, these are all the messages I send. And then she writes me back and she's like, oh my God, yes, Tawnya, like she's had ulcers many times and we're not sure if that's what's going on because we can't get in there. Everything's so disturbed right now. And she's like, she's been complaining of a sore throat, but we thought, because they had put a tube down her throat. So they thought it was just that. And she's like, but it seems really severe. Like it's more than that. And then she had said that her grandma was sick and she took some kind of antibiotic to get rid of the stomach bug. And the antibiotic, I guess now people are suing this company because of all the bad side effects. And so she took that antibiotic. And then now the doctors gave her a new drug to try to help her get past that drug. And basically, big picture, it's totally tearing up her body. And her grandmother is incredibly sensitive. And so some souls, like myself, I'm incredibly sensitive, which is a gift as far as what I do as a healer, but can feel like a curse in this world. Like, for example, if I have a sip of coffee at like, let's say it's 10 a.m., I am going to be awake at 4 a.m. A sip. It's like I don't need anything in my system that's going to, wire me because I'm already so high vibration. So coffee, caffeine is incredibly disruptive to my energy field. So medicine, if I ever take medicine, which is very rare, but the times I have, I take, whenever they say the doses, I usually take a fourth of that and I still feel the effects of it. So a lot of humans they can't handle what others can handle. And so that was part of the message to her, is like this stuff they're putting in her is too much. She really needs a naturopathic doctor and someone who understands energy medicine, understands, the energetics, and can help her find solution, and not just doctors that are kind of experimenting on her with drugs like, oh, that one makes you feel bad, here, try this one. Oh, that's making you feel weird, okay, here, try this one. To me, from a healer perspective, that is insanity to be experimenting on people in that way. But this is the common medical world that we're dealing with right now. And so what was amazing is my client, she called me, or she texted me, and we did talk on the phone later, but she let me know that all the messages were spot on. And one of the things when she talked to her, because I was telling her not only was this about her, but it was about her grandma, but it was about her as well, and the caregiver, all to speak truth and to step into their power. And so she was like, you're right. I feel that. Like, I've been so pissed off at these doctors. I want to say something, but, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, speak your truth. So yesterday she went back, and first of all, she tuned in her grandmother, who was completely weak and feeling terrible. And then after the clearing, her grandma was actually laughing and felt really good. And when she spoke the messages to her that I had given her, the grandma she said there was just like a light in her eyes, and that she was just so overjoyed that someone was actually listening and someone actually understood and got it. And what's amazing to me is that my client shared this on Facebook. She was kind of like sharing a testimonial. And I love it because I'm seeing something happening where, I've been doing this work for 3 years. And in the 3-year time, people are starting to really wake up and they're starting to talk about the truth. They're starting to challenge doctors. They're starting to speak to the teachers. They're starting to speak, to these different systems, and they're bringing the truth instead of being afraid that they're going to seem like freaks or weirdos and, that someone's going to just think they're crazy. And what's crazy is that we for so long felt shackled in fear. And for so long, we have just gone along with this experimentation without questioning it, without looking into other alternate methods. So this was not even what I was going to talk about today, but it felt important. So that's why I'm talking about it. But I was just I wanted to give honor to my client, who I'm going to let her, if she wants to share more, she can let you guys know by typing it out or calling in today. But I just felt honor for her and her courage. And I wanted to say that publicly because I feel like what's going to help us shift things on this planet is not just one person like myself speaking every week about the same importance of alignment, but many of us that are listening to these messages stepping up and speaking truth as well. All of us connecting together, uniting in this common agreement, in this common truth of standing in alignment for what matters for the whole. That is what's needed now. So any of you listening, if you've been feeling kind of like, man, there's a lot of things I'm frustrated with. There's things that I know truth about, but I don't know how to say it. I'm not sure what to do. I encourage you to start really speaking your truth, to really see that your voice is important. It's valuable. It matters. And it's going to help us evolve. It's going to help humanity evolve. And as more of us wake up and start speaking, it's going to help others wake up. So that's my call to each of you, to do your work and to realize that, I'm here doing mine and you doing yours. We unite strong and we move forward with great strength. So we need to start seeing it this way, not as, oh, Tawnya can just do all the work, or, we can have that news person doing all the work, or we can have that school teacher who's challenging the system do all the work. We need everyone stepping in and assisting, because then we are mighty and powerful with that force of support. So I just wanted to say that really quick. So the topic for today that I felt inspired to focus on is evolving beyond the misaligned tribal consciousness. And when I say tribal consciousness, it's that consciousness where we have, let's say we're born into birth family, or we're in that work environment, or we're in this, like medical world, and there's that system. We went to school, we got taught all the rules and what we're supposed to do. And there's this tribal consciousness. And what is the issue with the tribal consciousness is that when it becomes misaligned is when, let's say we're in a family dynamic and there's one soul, like one human's in the situation, and they see the truth. They see there's things that need to be addressed. They see where there's dysfunction. They see where disharmony is coming from. And these are souls that are gifts to your family. They are actually gifts. They're not something to be, hated on or heckled, just bullied. But what I've observed and what many of my clients have shared with me that are these earth angels, these ones that come in, I like to call them sacred rebels. They're like the sacred souls that are rebellious. They came in here to shake and rattle cages, not because they're violent or they're negative or they want drama, but because they actually came here to heal drama, to heal the violence, to heal all that chaos. And so the cage rattlers are needed. And when we're in our tribal consciousness in a family unit, a lot of times a soul comes in and they see everything clearly. They understand and they want to help that family evolve. But when they get bullied on continuously and they're, hated on and made fun of, what it does is it starts to cause them to feel weaker and weaker, and they feel alone. And I've helped so many of these souls. I call them learning empaths. The learning empaths in us, the sensitive ones that go through this, they either are going to strengthen and they're going to rise and they become really amazing teachers and leaders. But in that journey from learning empath to ascended master, or empowered empath, I guess I'd say learning empath, empowered empath. Now I'm empowered. I have ownership, self-responsibility. I know that I am my own sovereign being and that I affect the universe and the universe also affects me, that I am one with it. So this awareness comes in. We start living with that empowerment. And then we continue to journey through the evolution of ascended mastery, where we become the masters of this wisdom. And we apply this wisdom constantly throughout our life. Every moment is that moving meditation. Every moment is a moment of truth telling, of shaking the cage. And so I say this because so many of you that I see sharing things on Facebook, and I sit back and I observe what everyone's sharing, and I observe what the families are showing me, and I observe what the clients are showing me, and what the world and the media are showing. And what I see is it is very important time for us to evolve beyond the misaligned tribal consciousness. And we have to start taking our power back. So, like in this situation I was sharing with the medical situation, how many of us can relate to that? We might have a grandmother in the hospital, or we might be taking care of a child or a family member. You know, we're maybe sick ourselves and we're wanting to get well, but we're in this system that doesn't feel right to us, and we start to feel powerless. And what my client said was that she felt that the caregiver of her grandmother, who's making these decisions, had admitted to her that she felt overwhelmed and she felt powerless in this system, and that she felt frustration and anger in the fact that there's all these doctors just kind of experimenting and they don't really listen and they're not really tuning in deeper. And you're paying all this money, like it's high dollar, for these medications that are then in return making your family sick. So part of it, part of what we need to shift is we need to see that we all have responsibility. We all have a voice. We all are powerful. And every one of us can make a difference if we're coming from that perspective of oneness. So when we've done our self-love work, nothing is going to overwhelm us. Nothing is going to make us feel that, you know, there's something impossible. Nothing any longer will feel impossible to you. Anything that you see, you'll know can be evolved. And through your consciousness, you know that you're the creator, creatress to evolve that, to actually assist in that evolution. So when any of us are struggling, so let's say any of you that are out listening right now are in dynamics in your family where there's, you know, misalignment, you feel like you have no voice, you feel like you have to be blind, deaf, and dumb to be a part of the tribe, that's the moment it's time for change. So any of us, if we feel like that's happening in our movie, after a while, it's going to start to really create a feeling of enslavement. It's very suffocating. And different things are going to play out from that dynamic. We're either going to become rebellious because we're going to want to kick back and push back on the people that we believe are controlling us, or we become really silent and subservient and we just bow to the misaligned ones because, you know, no sudden moves. We don't want to cause a stir or a ruckus. And so we try to just people please. We try to just be quiet and do what they need, no matter what they're showing us, and we become enablers. Now, any of these choices are not the highest choice because they all lead to your suffering. And so when any of us are doing that, it's causing us suffering. It's actually not easing the suffering of the tyrants. So if we have family members who are the tyrants in the family, and you know who they are, in every one of your families, there's that person that believes they are the ones that are going to be ruling the cage, and they're going to lash out, and they're going to punish, and they're going to, you know, knock people out of it, and they're not welcome in this family. They're going to do this energy, and they're tyrannical, and they're very judgmental, and they have an energy of hate coming out of them and fear. And when that's going on, if it's going on in you, pay attention and know that it's never too late to change it. And if it's going on in someone in your family, in your tribe, at work, at home, you want to address that. You want to start speaking your truth, and you want to take your power back. Each of us have to do this one by one. We have to do this work. We cannot wait for others to do our work for us. We have to do it. And what's important is as we evolve beyond this misaligned tribal consciousness, we are going to shift the planet in amazing ways. So if you think like you just tolerating abuse in your family is not a big deal and it's just what you're used to and you can handle it, yes, it is a very big deal, actually. You addressing that and clearing that from your family dynamic, you evolving beyond that abuse pattern is so important to the bigger picture. And we need to see this about ourselves. We need to see that our individual lives can have great and profound effect on changing the bigger collective picture. And so never is it too much or too late or too hard to choose evolution. Never. It is always exactly what is being called for. When something is too hard, when something is too much, when something is overwhelming, when something is abusive, when you just feel like you're going to break, that's when you push forward even more. That's when you step more fully into your power and you become a global shift leader. We need many of you. And I had a vision recently where I saw how much my energy was actually creating a wave out into consciousness. And I saw many earth angels waking up and they were raising the vibration. We were all working on this together and raising the vibration of the planet and shaking that planet. Like literally, it was vibrating until it disappeared, reappeared, and it was the fifth dimensional reality. It was like another holograph of the world. So there's something deep going on in us. And many of you that are watching have maybe even felt this going on in your bodies at a cellular level. You felt the inflow of these frequencies coming to the planet, the light frequencies from what's going on with the sun. You felt things going on in the core of the earth and what's shaken up and what's ready to be shook off. So we need to be more aware of how we individually are so powerful because we have consciousness. We have the privilege of consciousness. We have the privilege of being a one and paying attention and observing our world from a place of truth, seeing truth. Now, when we have people that are wounded, and you know what this is when you have, it could be a 50-year-old woman and she's got a wounded child that has never been addressed or healed. So that toddler inside of her throws tantrums, is just a little tyrant. She's really bitchy. I mean, there's a lot of words that you might give her, but this is really at the core, it's a wounded being that needs to heal and have things addressed. So when we collectively enable that tyrant, that toddler, we keep giving to the toddler, we keep doing whatever for that toddler that's out of alignment, it is causing more and more damage and destruction for all of our lives. It creates disharmony. And it was funny because Will and I, we went and saw the new movie Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. And I completely relate to Alice. I completely relate to living in a world where I feel like I constantly look into the looking glass and drop down the rabbit hole. And I live in a world where I observe how so many humans that don't dare to realize that anything is possible, they look at someone like myself as I'm crazy. And just like in the movie, they showed her and she gets kind of locked up temporarily in this asylum because they think she's crazy. She's not crazy. She's the only one with her eyes wide open. And I feel like that's what is happening on the planet. We're finally opening our eyes. We're finally like, whoa, there's something going on here and we need to pay attention. We need to open our eyes and see. So I'm going to pause because I was just flowing it. Is there anybody that has any questions about what I'm saying so far? Or is there something going on in your family unit, your tribe, that you feel like, you know what, Tawnya, I hear what you're saying, but I got this thing going on and I don't think I could ever evolve it. I want you to share that. So write in or call in if you have something you want to share. Is there anything so far, Amnon?
Nope.
Okay. So let me see here. I got a tickle in my throat, I think because I was just reading or speaking a lot. One of the things I wanted to share is, and I feel like this all goes together. So I had this dream last night and it was an amazing dream. Like, I know I'm not even going to do it justice in speaking it, but I'm going to do my best. But in this dream, I was basically walking through some ancient ruins and I just felt it was like in the dream, I had the feeling it was in a Mayan ruins area. And I was walking through and there was this big disc. It was like, you know, like size of a plate, like gold plate. And it had all these engravings that were like embossed on the plate, like a disc. And it had all these like hieroglyphics on it. And as I was observing it, I kind of like my consciousness jumped into that plate and I was moving through each of the hieroglyphics. And I was just, let's say, like uploading or downloading, whatever way you want to say that, the information in that plate. And I realized that it was very much like a microchip. Like I had gone into the microchip and I was actually taking in and uploading all the information into my consciousness from the wisdom that was shared in that plate. And as I was in it, it was two-dimensional that I was inside of it. So like think of being in a microchip and it's just like flat. And I saw this dragon and the dragon actually came and projected itself out of that disc and it was three-dimensional. And it was like a holograph that came out of this disc, this chip. And I got on this dragon's back, and in the dream, it carried me, and we just took off flying through the air. We were soaring up into the sky, and then we were flying over the planet. And as I was flying over the planet, I could tune in, and at first it overwhelmed me because I could hear everything. I could hear every conversation. And if you could imagine hearing every single conversation happening on the planet at one time. It was just like, what? It was so loud and so much noise. And then I kind of had this feeling come over me. Maybe the dragon spirit was helping me, but it was like suddenly I could just choose where I wanted to focus in. So I would just focus into this group or this individual. And I could hear everything that was being spoken, but I also could hear every thought. So no matter what was going on, I could hear the thoughts and I could hear what was being said. And so nothing was a secret. And the next thing, I could just see and feel everyone's emotions. I could feel what they were feeling. I saw them, like clearly saw them for what they were, what they were struggling with, everything. And I noticed how there was beings that were all, all these humans and all these animals and these plants, and they were like little fractals of energy in a bigger holograph that were just shimmering in the light. And it was just kind of like a trick of hands, like a sleight of hands, like with the light. It was all holographic. None of it was really that real. And so all of these energies are playing out. There's all these people, and I observed how some of them I just felt drawn to, like I wanted to go in and tune into them. And then a lot of them I really wasn't interested in tuning into. It was like, no, we don't need to tune into that. And so we just keep going. And I saw all these beautiful orchid flowers, and I love orchids. And so that makes kind of sense. And there's all these orchids, and I just felt like my heart was like, shoom, like I zoomed in like a camera lens. And I was just adoring these flowers. Like, I just love you. I appreciate your beauty. And I just started weeping. And in the dream, it was just overwhelming love. And I realized that all of this stuff, the animals, the trees, the plants, all of them were communicating at the same time. And none of it was more important than anything else. And none of it was terrible or good or bad. It was just all happening. Excuse me. It was just all happening right now. And I felt like this was like one of the most amazing experiences where I've ever felt like I was literally one and united completely with Source. So really connected to that mind of God, Source God, where I could see, know, feel everything, and nothing was withheld from me. It was all right there. And I realized that there's a reason some of us feel like our hearts call us here or there, and it's nothing, it's no rhyme or reason as far as what's good or bad. It's from a soul's desire from the heart to learn, to grow, to evolve, to connect, to understand. And so part of what I feel that this dream came through me for is that here I am talking today about evolving the misaligned tribal consciousness, and that's a consciousness of enslavement and control. And we've all been raised in this. Every one of us at some level has had to deal with forms of enslavement and control, whether we went to school and we had to deal with it, or we were at our church and had to deal with it, or we were in our families. At some level, you've been conditioned just like a good dog to listen and to obey and to do the rules. And some of us, we don't, some of us don't challenge those rules. We just follow without question. And others, the sacred rebels, they challenge and they question everything. And so one of the beautiful things about the sacred rebels is that they're coming in for a purpose to shake the cages, to shake down the old systems, because these systems are enslaving all of you. Everyone, including the tyrant, like in the movie Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts, what a psycho tyrant. Like, this girl is out of freaking alignment. And they did such a great job of showing how it stemmed from her childhood, from feeling like things were her fault, and then she didn't get honored for something that wasn't her fault. So she ends up throwing a big ass tantrum for the rest of her life. And so it's amazing to see how something so subtle, some choice in your life, could really create and activate this energy of misalignment. So when we see it that way, and we can see that, everybody in that system's enslaved, the tyrant's enslaved, that Queen of Hearts that's angry and hateful, she has enslaved herself. She can't be happy. She can't be appreciative. She can't be free. And so if she can't be free, well, you know what? Fuck them. Nobody's going to be free. And really, if you think about it, it makes sense why if in the family the dad's angry because he doesn't have free time, then no one gets free time. Or if the mom's upset, she doesn't feel like she's loving herself, she doesn't feel like she's enough, so then she's going to lash out. After a while, you watch, it's going to happen. Lash out's going to come. So we got to start waking up and realize that what I saw, what Source showed me, is that all of it is beautiful. And this is going to maybe challenge some of your minds because we have been conditioned to believe it's not all beautiful and that some of it's right and some of it's wrong. Now, if we can see this from a more galactic perspective, a more source perspective, every single choice is bringing us deeper understanding. It's assisting our soul with evolution. Now, if we have, and I'm going to use a really intense situation because I've actually had to deal with this. Let's say we have a mother and we have a child, and that child is choosing a path of darkness. That child is getting into drugs. That child is dating people that don't treat them very well. That child is now becoming very hateful. They're lashing out. They're getting more distant. They take it out on themselves. Now they want to take it out on others. Now, in our society, what I've observed, and this is something I've seen so many times with in my own life, but with people that I've helped, is there's these belief systems of what a mom should be, or what a dad should be, or what the rules should be. And we have these attachment issues and we create these codependent relationships. And so now, if they aren't free and they can't do what's right, and I can't make them do what's right, now I'm not free. And now I'm angry about that. And now I need to, in some form, control them or punish them to make them do what I think they need to do. Now, this is pretty normal if you really think about it. This is most of what we've all grown up with parents or with a leadership or authority figures of any kind. This is the rules, you do the rules, you're going to be punished. Now, if we look at this from a more source-aligned perspective, every choice is assisting with growth and evolution. Now, this doesn't mean we're going to hang out with everybody, and this is part of my dream. As the soul moved through, my soul saw like some people I felt really drawn to. I'm going to go tune in from the heart. Ooh, I want to go there. The orchids, ooh, they're beautiful. This is bliss. This is a soul that's free and it's traveling where its heart is guiding it to go. Now, the enslaved souls, they believe they're not allowed to do that. And so if they're not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to do that. And so this is a big part of what we've got to shake the cage on collectively is see that how am I participating in that? Am I in some way participating in that? Do I feel that my child should behave a certain way, dress a certain way, go to the certain college that I say, date a certain person? Am I projecting that on my child? Am I projecting that on my partner? Am I projecting that in my community? I had a woman recently, and she was talking about being in a shamanics group with women, and the way she spoke of it was so different from what I see, but this was the group she had been in, and she was just like, these women are just nasty to each other, and they've got so much woundedness, and, you know, being around women can just stress me out, and I don't really see it very beautifully. And I was like, girl, I see and hear and know what you're saying because I've been there. But now I'm not there. Now I feel like I draw in these really beautiful relationships with women who want to learn something from me, but also want to show me love and honor. And it's a beautiful and important balance and harmony for a relationship for me. Now, in the past, I maybe was drawn to relationships which were not honoring me because that was part of my soul testing something or waking something up or helping me realize how important that was. And so I needed to go there. And so this is the point I'm trying to make. If a child is, let's say, doing a bunch of drugs and they're getting in with the wrong crowd, should that mother speak her truth? Absolutely. Should that mother do whatever she can to help that child and to direct and guide them to health? Yes. But should that mother or that father take on the responsibility of that child's choices and then stress themselves out? Should they give money until they go bankrupt? Should they, put their own lives in jeopardy by having that person live with them? Should they go through hell because that's their child? No, I do not believe that's the aligned path. Now, many of us have chose that path, and so if you need it, you're going to take it because you're going to learn something from it. Trust me, you'll learn something. But if we're having this attachment of what we're supposed to do and what is the rule to do, then we're going to not very long later, we're going to be projecting that on others because we don't feel free. So the point with this is that what I know in my heart and soul is that all of us are free. And that's all we want. There's a song I shared, and if you guys want to listen to it later, I put a little YouTube, quick little video from my car, and it's The Calling, and it's called Believing. And it's just the basic lines were like, to be free is all we want to be. When everything else seems so far out of reach, I need to know no matter where I go, I'll never stop believing in me. And it's a beautiful song if you get a chance to play it. But in that song, it's speaking truth. Like all of us long to be free. Some of us ignore that feeling of actual integrity and love in our heart of what we feel. And so we'll go, like, I've done it. I got married to someone for 4 months because they were peer pressuring me into marrying them. They were peer pressuring me. They were saying how it would help us with our taxes. They were projecting all this control and their own fear. And I went along with it. I learned a lesson from that. But what my heart knew is that my soul just wants to stay free. I don't want to be possessed by someone. And so some of us, we might feel like, for a while in our game, maybe some of us as women or men, we wanted to be possessed. We wanted someone to own us in a way. We wanted them to tell us what to do because we didn't know what the hell to do. We wanted to go to that religion and have them tell us how to think because we didn't even know what to think. We wanted to have someone tell us what to do. So we, join the military and we go let somebody else tell us what to do. A lot of us have done this in our own forms, our own way. But what's going to bring you fulfillment and joy and empowerment is the moment you take your responsibility back and you take ownership of every choice you're making and you don't judge yourself anymore. Excuse me. And I say that really, that's a so important part of the path is that we stop judging ourselves. We stop hating on ourselves. We stop guilting and feeling shame and pain and guilt and hate towards our choices of the past. Because when we're one with Source, when we're really in the higher consciousness, there is no space for guilt, pain, blame, or shame. When you're in misaligned tribal consciousness, oh yeah, that's what we do over here. We're going to guilt trip you. We're going to shame your ass. We're going to put you in your place. We're going to kick you out of the tribe. You're getting kicked out of the teepee. That's what we do in that place. But in source conscious oneness, in this space of alignment, there is no room for that. So if there's no room for that within myself, and I can't do that to myself, I cannot do it to anyone else. And so this is where we're evolving, my friends. This is the space of oneness and consciousness that we are evolving to. And it's going to help us and it's going to help the whole world. It's going to evolve and free ourselves. And in that freedom, in that choice of freedom, we actually give others permission to take that freedom as well. So there's no possession anymore. I'm in an amazing relationship, the most beautiful relationship I could have ever imagined could come to me in my life with William. And he does not enslave me. And there's been times that he's been working through stuff in the past where he had some stuff he had to work through of his old relationships. But I would love him. I would show patience and gentleness. But I would also let him see, you are projecting right now, and I am not going to let you control my energy. And then he would step back and process like, you're right, and I don't want to do that to you. And this is so important because for an aligned, loving relationship with another, with a beloved, it's going to mirror what we're having going on in self or what we've evolved in self, and we can mirror to the other to help them. So any of us that think that we're helping a person by enabling their misaligned behavior, if there's someone throwing a tantrum to get their way and then we're giving them their way because we don't want to, shake the boat or we don't want them not to like us, we are not helping them and we are definitely not helping ourselves. So I want to share this today really from a place of love, but a place of power to help you all understand how important this choice is. And it's a choice that I have made in my own life, and it has not always been received in the most beautiful way. A lot of times, as I've evolved beyond my family, my literal birth tribe, a lot of the humans there are just very wounded and sick in their consciousness. There's poverty, there's enslavement, there's addiction, there's abuse. It was where I chose to go to learn a lot. But there comes a day where some of us, maybe as souls, chose to go into these misaligned systems and these misaligned family units, but that didn't mean we needed to stay there forever. Why did you go there? What did you go there to learn? Have you learned it? And are you ready now to follow your heart? That's what it's all about. It takes incredible courage to break from a tribe. And I know this firsthand because when you do, it feels very much like you're walking alone. It feels like you are the lone wolf and the pack is back there howling and growling and you're just on your own. And suddenly you don't really know, like, whoa, where do I belong? Because you don't have that, that feeling of belonging to that tribe. But I'm going to say to you, and I'm going to encourage you and just cheer you on that if you're in abusive dynamics, if you're in these misaligned systems, and you know if you are, to have the courage today to make a pact to yourself, to love yourself, and to make any choice that you need to make to step forward and to move out of that misaligned energy. Because the moment that it becomes abusive and enslaving is the moment you have lost your oneness with Source. The moment that you are now letting misaligned leaders push you and guide you into action. And this will lead you only to suffering. It will never lead you to abundance or joy or good or happiness, nothing. So, you know, you guys have seen my show for a couple years, and I had to leave a 20-year marriage that was enslaving. And that was a huge, courageous moment to leave that, because leaving those people, that was all I knew. But however, when I had the courage to break free, my supernatural gifts came to me. My expansion in every way happened and occurred. My abundance, my prosperity, my wealth, my health, my happiness, you know, every single thing that you dream of. Each of us have a dream and a desire for these things that we love, this feeling. It's not even about things, it's about a feeling. I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel supported, I feel love, I feel, you know, fulfilled. That doesn't come from things, it doesn't come from people, it comes from your own alignment with Source. It comes
Question.
from your, yes, go ahead.
Have you observed that men have a greater proclivity toward misalignment than women, or have you observed the tendency to be equal?
The tendency to be what? What was the last part, Amnon?
Or, the tendency to be equal.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, honestly, it's equal opportunity. It truly is, because we could have a you know, a man or a woman who has woundedness in them. So a woman with her wounded child, she's going to throw tantrums. She's going to do what she can to get attention. She's going to do what she can to, you know, get her way. And then you have a misaligned man who he's going to also throw his tantrums and he's going to do what he can to be in charge. And then you get them together and they're going to be really attracted to each other. This is like how the dynamic of attracting a mate happens. And when it's like a soulmate relationship, we have that familiarity too. Like, I feel like I knew them. And that isn't a bad thing. It just means that you probably did know them and you guys probably did some stuff to each other in the past. And now you're coming back together to get that shit figured out. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to all be beautiful. And what's going to be amazing in any relationship is when we do our own inner work. And this is like what I specialize in with the auric clearings and the soul coaching. I'm helping these clients do their inner work. And it is work. And it doesn't mean it's like, oh, it's like learning algebra when you hate math. It's tuning in to things that you need to deal with and address from the childhood part of you, the old cellular memories that you haven't addressed and haven't dealt with. And the longer you ignore them, the longer you push them down, the more out of alignment you remain. And so it's like the Queen of Hearts. If you guys go watch that movie, it's a great movie. Beautiful visual of like source energy, like the way they show the water and all these memories in the water. It's so like very similar to my dream, like fractals of light of all the same ocean. And in that film, they show such a great job of Queen of Hearts, and like a lot of people would see her and just be like, "What a bitch! Like she's evil. Like they should kill her." And she's constantly like cutting people's heads off with their heads, and she's just such a brat. Like she literally is just embodies this toddler that throws a tantrum constantly. But when they explain from a source perspective of what triggered her to become that, suddenly you see from a bigger picture and you have more compassion to that being. Now, it doesn't mean we enable that being to keep being that, to keep on, you know, behaving that way, but we can understand deeper. So the big picture is that we aren't here to help other people get their shit right. Even as a healer, I know I can't help anybody get their shit right. I cannot make anybody heal. And it would be amazing if I could. I would have waved my wand a long time ago. But I do know that I can put a good vibe of love out to everyone. I can speak my truth to everyone. I can challenge everyone if they're out of alignment. I know that I can do that. And I know that the most important thing is that I can choose to love myself and that I can walk in that alignment with my source, and that I know I only could get where I'm at today because I did my work. So, any of us that desire to have alignment, we desire to have harmonious relationships, we desire to have abundance, we desire to live fulfilled lives, we desire to feel free, it's going to start with that work. It's going to start with loving yourself, and working with a mentor who can help you is just going to help it move faster. The clients I work with, they're like, oh my God, like I have evolved so fast because of you. My beloved William, he's just like, baby, I feel like I am a completely different person. And we met each other back in, when it was like back in September. It's been, I want to say, well, however many months. I'm not going to do that right now, but I believe we just had our 6-month anniversary. But we met a little bit before that. So if you look at that, we can have a mentor that works with us that actually just keeps us accountable and just gives us wisdom that taps into the source energy in a way that maybe we haven't learned to do yet, and they access this information. Like my client, who they had theories of what's going on with grandma, but they didn't really know. And as I tuned in, I'm like, oh, I'm sensing an ulcer and this is going on, and this drug, you need to stop giving it to her. She needs a naturopathic doctor. Today I got confirmation that they in fact discovered it's an ulcer. And so all of this stuff is really important, and we need to start acknowledging that when we tune in to source energy, and if we don't know how, that we work with someone who can help us to become masterful at that, it's only going to make the world better. And you're never going to make the world better by ignoring your own needs. You're never going to make the world more beautiful by hating yourself. You're never going to make anything more beautiful until you actually learn to love yourself, and until you learn to walk in your own alignment with source. And you learn that your tribe and nobody around you is really more powerful than you. No one, no military, no government, no family, no church, none of that is more powerful than your choice to choose freedom or to choose enslavement. And every one of us make that choice every single day, every moment of our day. We choose to speak our truth or to withhold it. We choose to step in a new direction that feels aligned and that our heart's guiding us, or to ignore that and to stay stuck. Every one of us choose. No one's a victim. Not any of us are a victim. Every one of us are choosing. And so if you can process that and then really get into a place of, what do I want to choose? Now, this is the big question. This is the big quantum physics moment. This is where the shows I did last week, or I think it was like the matrix field, and then I was talking about the science of miracles. We talked a lot about the quantum field. This is where, like Alice, she believes anything is possible. Anything's possible for her, and so therefore it is. Now, she, in the world that she walks around, in the illusionary world of all the rules, she looks crazy and she's breaking the rules and she needs to be punished. But to her, she's free because she's listening to the source connection inside of herself that says there is no limitation. And so I really encourage each of you to really process that in your own way and see, where is it in your life that you are stuck? Where is it that you have refused to evolve? And this can be painful at times. Like, it doesn't have to be painful, but it will be painful to your ego if your ego has a really good grab on you. Because let's say that you're the person in your family that's been the tyrant. That can be really uncomfortable to own up to that. But if you can own up to it, it's just like an alcoholic realizing they have a problem drinking. As soon as you can see that you actually have a problem and that you actually have created pain from that choice, that behavior, that is the moment you can evolve it and you can heal it. But if you can't let yourself see, if your ego has a grab on you and it's like, no, it's all their fault, it's always them, they made me do it. You know, it's like the guy that beats up his wife or child and then he blames the wife or child and says that they made me do it because they didn't do what I said, they didn't clean up the yard or whatever. That is insanity. That is a human that is out of freaking control, and now they don't want to own that and they don't want to heal themselves, so they're blaming others around them. Like I said, we cannot come into our oneness with source with guilt, pain, blame, and shame. So what that person, that alcoholic, has to do, they have to have a good hard look in the mirror, and they need to see themselves, and they need to start loving themselves. They don't need to hate themselves. Even if they've done terrible things, that will never help them heal and evolve. As a society, if we want others to be punished, this is never going to heal them. What we need is for them to see clearly what is creating the problem, and we need them to heal that through gentleness, through love, through compassion. Now, it doesn't mean that it's okay to go be a terrorist and do stupid shit, but it means that when someone does some stupid shit, we actually can tune in and try to understand what caused them to do that and to help them see that they can heal that. If we live in a culture where we believe that something can't be healed, then that's true for you. That's you believing that there's a limitation. So you will cling and argue for your limitation. Others of us will be like Alice and we will believe anything is possible and therefore it will be for us. We will actually transcend all barriers. And this is what we have the opportunity to do, or we have the opportunity to stay enslaved and to source from my dream. To source, it's no big deal. It's like whatever you guys want to do, you're doing it, and I'm just listening, and I'm watching, and I'm knowing, and I'm feeling. But if your choices are enslaving you and making you feel miserable, it might be a great time in your life to change in your direction, to choose a different choice, to choose a different way of looking at things, a different perspective, to be like Alice and look through the looking glass and actually open up the vision to a more expanded vision, so that, let's say you're a wounded child that's 40 years old that was sexually abused, and you can tune in a deeper way and love yourself and even send love and forgiveness to those who hurt you. This is you looking through that looking glass, and you're opening up the expanded vision and perspective of oneness. You're realizing that you've learned things from this experience. You were gifted things, maybe compassion, maybe the gift of discernment and awareness was heightened in you. Whatever it is, if we're looking for that, we're going to find it. And if we're just miserable and walking around on the planet waiting to die, hoping we get to heaven, or maybe we're going to go to hell, and we're in this, this illusionary state. And so we justify why we destroy the rainforest, and we justify why we throw our trash in their yard. Who cares? The world's going to end anyway. We justify this through this misaligned behavior, and it's actually causing suffering for us right away, and then trickles out and creates suffering for others around us. And it's completely optional. So I'm going to pause. Is there any other questions or feedback?
There is a feedback.
Okay.
And Pegasus says, "Thank you, T Love."
Thank you. Okay. So I want to read something to you. This is from Alana Fairchild's Rumi Oracle deck, and it looks like this. And the card is called The Right Choice. It's number 29. And I'm going to read this to you. Stay close to those who know about the heart. Choose the shade of a tree that is in constant bloom. Don't meander aimlessly among the herb sellers and potion vendors. Go directly to the shop that sells nothing but sweets. Don't sit waiting by every boiling pot to have your plate filled. Not every boiling pot is cooking what you want. Not every sugar cane is filled with sugar, and not every down has an up. Not every eye has vision, and not every and not every sea contains pearls. And this is Rumi. Within you, I recognize my most trusted friend. We go way back, long before that moment when time began. We knew each other then, even before time was born. So I say, hello, my old and dear friend. So lovely for us to meet again. And I feel how your heart responds with a wave of love, for it is that love that is you, my most trusted friend. And think of that as like Source speaking directly to you. On the path of love, there is not so much wrong and right in the moral sense, so much as what is wrong or right for you. The mind cannot help so much here. Only the heart can speak such truth. The mind may reject it, recoil, analyze, and find all the reasons why the simple truth, the right choice of the heart, cannot possibly work and will only lead to pain. That is what the mind does rather well. But it doesn't mean the right choice. The heart choice becomes incorrect. It means rather that the heart has outsmarted the mind, and the mind will need to bow and surrender to the heart, even without understanding it, sometimes impenetrable mysteries. Or one can choose to stay in inner conflict, fighting against the right choice. But eventually, love will prevail and the way forward must be taken. And I can give you a reflection of that in my own journey. 20-year marriage. How many times throughout that marriage my heart said, go, this is not right for you. This is not love. This doesn't feel good. But my brain's like, no, it's my husband. I have babies with this man. I have to stay. And it was a conflict for 20 years. And so I love how it says that you can choose to stay in inner conflict. Any one of you, if you're enslaved in a job, in a relationship, in an addiction, you're choosing it. And you can stay there fighting against it, analyzing it, let your mind tell you. But in the end, eventually, love will always prevail and you will be guided to move forward. And the way forward must be taken. The heart will say, enough is enough. It's time to go. So I encourage you to listen now rather than like myself taking 20 damn years. Holy shit. I mean, I give myself love because I totally don't shame myself for that. But when I have clients that are like, oh, it's taking me so long, and then I tell them that, I'm like, let's put that in perspective, Like it took me a while to get to where I needed to go. So can you give up what you have planned? And this is important. Your ego has plans. It has belief systems. So can you give up what you have planned, believed, or decided? Let the heart's wisdom, that silent and constantly broadcasts its pure and true intention into the fertile womb of the universe, lead the way instead. Let the heart lead. It will lead you along the right path to the right house where sits the right master for you, or the right beloved, the right job. It's letting your heart guide you, and you'll land where you need to every time you listen to the heart. I promise you. He grabs you in a bear hug and gently whispers into your ear, "What took you so long? I've been waiting for you since the day you were born. Now we are together and it is time for us to play." It is said that one man's meat is another man's poison. To base your choices on what others have chosen for themselves may end up killing you. And think of that in the tribal consciousness. Okay, dad was a lawyer, so I got to be a damn lawyer, but I want to be a guitar player in a band and I want to just live by the beach simply. So you end up going to school to be a lawyer and you hate your life, you hate your job, so you become a drug addict. And now you have, a sexual addiction and you just use women because your mom never stood up for you. And like, this is the deeper cellular memory stuff. So if we actually look into living our own truth, this is where the courage comes from. We have to move beyond the tribe. We can't stay stuck there. We've got to listen to our heart. Better to take your risk on the angel of your own, or sorry, not angel, angle, on the angle of your own heart, wise as that being is, and dance to your own heart rhythm instead. There may be fear if others seem to be dancing different steps. But beloved, you know that is just because every heart has its own unique rhythm, and yours doesn't want to waltz so much as to tango. So why not allow it to be thus without fear or doubt? This oracle comes with a message for you. In your heart, you know what holds meaning for you. You may or may not have a grand vision to go along with that meaning yet, but deep within, you know what is with value and what is without. You were born with those values intact in your heart, and whatever confusion has arisen for you along the way is just where the values of others have transfused into your own blood. It is time for a transfusion of holy light into that blood, to be cleansed and purified, restored to its integrity and filled with passion for what is rightfully yours, your unique passion and purpose. And I just love that because it's all about moving beyond the tribal consciousness right there. There is a purpose inside of you and your heart knows it. And I'm almost out of time, so I'm just going to end with, I really wish you all the best and that you will follow your hearts, that you will speak your truth, that you will take stands in your tribes, and that you will not be afraid. Even if you shake when you speak or if you shake when you're taking a step in a new direction, keep moving in that direction. Let the heart lead. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if any of you are needing help and mentorship, you know how to contact me. Go to Facebook, find me, and go to TawnyaAngel@555.com, and you can send me information or email me. And we'll move forward from there. But I wish you guys all the best and have a beautiful and blessed, awake and aware day. Let the heart guide you. Namaste.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, My Life, My Will with Gisela DiCarlo, The Tawnya Love Show, Health Then with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Triangle Be Well with Howard Jacobson, Lunch and Learn with Rabbi Yisrael Cutler, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Current Affairs with Amnon Nissan, And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nisancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.